Is Israel a racist state? Israel's critics said that praised Gapso, saying he's an honest man.
Well, first off, Israel is not a racist country. I would like to put this in a maybe a bit broader context. If there's something that Judaism has brought to this world as a culture, and then as individual human beings doing their best in different contexts, is to remember that the world is one. That is Judaism for me. And all of the rest are texts and history, interpretation.
Dan has suggested that Gapso represents a strain of fear and ignorance and unworthiness for re-election. Do you feel in your organization that you're fighting against a dominant strain of fear and ignorance, or does that fear and ignorance just reside around the edges? Is Israel a racist state?
In Israel, the conversation about Jewish and democratic is not just an academic or theoretical conversation. It's a very real political reality, and what Jewish means in that assortment of words is something that's interpreted and enacted day in and day out by the government and by the Knesset in the policies and in the laws and in the way society conducts itself. We're talking about Jewish and demographic instead of Jewish and democratic. And I think that we should all give a lot of thought for alternative models where we could have a place which would be even more Jewish in values and more democratic in essence, without having that formal legal wedding between these two attributes of the state. The answer presents itself. Of course the state is of all of its citizens, right? Because if it's not of all of its citizens, then who does it belong to, right? I think it's like that's just the way it is, the way it should be. And then the question is, having said that, and perhaps having, sat down, taken the air inside, relax, seeing that the world isn't going to collapse if we think about Israel in that sense, then let's think, what space does that truly open, right? If we would just let the state run things in an equal way for all citizens, right? And we would leave taking care of Jewish identity for those of the Jews that really care about that, and taking care of Christian identity for that minority in Israel that cares about that, and Muslim identity for those in Israel that care about that, then what are we really going to lose? Somehow we have given that, we've shedded off our hearts and minds and gave that to the state. And what is the state doing with that? If the major thing that the state is doing with that is trying to police identity and demographics, and if we all understand that that will eventually lead us, not eventually, is already leading us to actions and policies that are completely contradictory to the way many people in this room, if not all of us, understand Jewish values, then how is this good for democracy or for Jewish identity?